So from today, we shall start pesticides toxicity. So what do you mean by pesticides? Pesticides are the heterogeneous group of substances used for preventing, destroying or repelling the pests. So indirectly they have helped in increasing the health, nutrition, and it also help in increasing the food production worldwide. So now what's happening? So because of massive usage of pesticides to get rid of the pests and their indiscriminate usage, so excess usage in order to get high crop, so this pesticide toxicity is happening. So because of pesticide, there are also ecological adverse effect. See, for example, DDT and endosulfan. You know about the ill effects of DDT and endosulfan. So many birds have been died due to indiscriminate usage of the DDT, and the people have suffered due to indiscriminate usage of endosulfan. Take for the example of Kasargod incident. See, in Kasargod, so many people are suffering from teratogenic defects just due to indiscriminate usage of this endosulfan. See, what are the sources of this pesticides toxicity? See, the sources, there are a number of way in which the pesticide toxicity can come. So, the important sources of pesticide toxicity are the accidental way, and also whenever the crops have been freshly sprayed with pesticide and that pesticide coming in contact with the people, it might lead to the toxicity. And whenever there's grading of the food crops, see, whenever you grade the food crops, see, a grading officer will come to your farmland, so he will grade according to the standards that has been prescribed. So whenever there is unfit food crops are there, they will be thrown out. So when the unfit crops are thrown out, so invariably they are also sprayed with this insecticide, and that unfit food crop will be taken up by the animal. That might lead to the pesticide toxicity. Then water runoff. See, this is what happened in endosulfan toxicity. See, endosulfan toxicity, they sprayed on the crops, and whenever the rain comes or whenever they give water, that runoff, it went to the water source, and the people consumed that water, the animals consumed that water, succumbed from pesticide toxicity. Water runoff is one of the major source of pesticide toxicity. And indirect way. See, in indirect way, the crops, they will be having pesticide, so they accumulate the pesticide, the crops eaten by the animals. See, for example, cattle has eaten some plants, and cattle byproduct, the milk consumed by the people, they suffer from pesticide toxicity, indirect way of succumbing from pesticide toxicity. Then licking of wall. So whenever you spray ectoparasiticide to ward off the pest, whenever you spray ectoparasiticide, if animal accidentally licks the wall, so they will suffer from pesticide toxicity. Then secondary poisoning, similarly. So whenever we use rodenticide to kill the rodents, so the rat will be dead, and if that rat is eaten by a cat, that cat will suffer from the pesticide toxicity. So then exposure to the stressed animals. See, whenever you are transporting a huge lot of animal, for example sheep, you are transporting the sheep from far away places. So as soon as it arrives, so if you expose the sheep with the ectoparasiticide, so that the animal will obviously suffer from ectoparasiticide toxicity. And inappropriate quantity. See, for example, see, 5 ml is the ectoparasiticide that should use, and we should dilute it with 100 ml of water, then you should spray it on the animal. See, what will happen? Inappropriate quantity. So if you use 20 ml in 100 ml, then you spray it on the animal. If accidentally the animal licks that, so they will suffer from the pesticide toxicity. Again, the dipping. So whenever you dip the animal for ectoparasiticide activity, unknowingly, if there are wounds or if there are lickings, so through the wounds it might lead to ectoparasiticide toxicity. Then agricultural crops, I told you, the vegetables that are grown, so that vegetable accumulate the pesticide, so indirectly it is eaten by other animal or people, they will succumb from pesticide toxicity. Then intentional, see, there are so many accidental things. Then there is an intentional one where maliciously or intentionally the people will give pesticide to the animal. See, one farmland, they are not happy, they are in quarrel with the another farmland person. So this person, what he will do, he cannot kill that person, so his aim is to kill this animal. So what he will do, he will put the rodenticide in some biscuit or some bait, so you will use it as a bait, so you'll give it to the animal, so animal belonging to the another farmland, so that it will eat this bait, so it will be killed. So it's one of the intentional poisoning. So what is the mode of killing in intentional poisoning? Nowadays usage of pesticide has become very rampant in intentional poisoning. Then occupational hazard, so the people who are involved in the manufacture of these pesticide, they will also succumb from the pesticide toxicity. So, and there are different group of pesticide that we will see now. See, pesticide, it is an heterogeneous group, I told you. See, pesticide is an heterogeneous group. It contains different groups of the pesticides which are aimed at killing different pests. So among those, the important ones, see, you get different classes of pesticide. So as far as our toxicology portion is concerned, so this we will restrict to this group of pesticide. So among that, the first one is insecticide, and among insecticide, the important ones are, we already studied about these insecticides: organophosphorus compound, organochlorine compound, carbamates, pyrethroid, formamidins, neonicotinoid pesticide, then natural sources. Then herbicides. See, herbicides, we get inorganic group which contain chloride, then organic group you get dinitro compounds and bipyridyl compound. Then then rodenticides. See, under rodenticide, it's classified into inorganic class and the organic class. And in the inorganic class, the rodenticide, arsenic, phosphorus, thallium sulfate, and zinc phosphide. Under organic, we get anticoagulants, fluoroacetic acid, vitamin D compounds, N2, bromethylene, strychnine, red squill, pyrimidine, norboromide, crimidine, and the chlorulose. Then under molluscicides, we get metaldehyde. So this group of drugs, we are going to study it under the pesticide. So now we shall take up the insecticide. Under insecticide, the very important group of insecticide is the organophosphorus compound that we are going to discuss it today. So organophosphorus compound, we will discuss it as a separate section. Then we can swiftly move on. So there is a prototype pesticide group, very important one. Okay. See, under insecticide, the first group of insecticide is organophosphorus compound. So this organophosphorus compound, they are organic esters of the phosphorus. See, when you compare organophosphorus compound with organochlorine compound, these OPs, they are less environmental persistent, they are more biodegradable, they are unstable in sunlight. So bioaccumulation factor, when you compare it with organochlorine compound, this OP compound's bioaccumulation factor will be less. But often this organophosphorus compound causes acute toxicity, and it is very commonly involved acute poisoning in case of domestic animal. So as far as toxicity factor is concerned, OPs, they are more vulnerable than this organochlorine compound. As far as bioaccumulation factor is concerned, OCs are more vulnerable than the organophosphorus compound. So organophosphorus compound, in short we call it as OP, not OPCs, only OP, organophosphorus compounds. Then for the first time, the gentleman Gerhard Schrader, he discovered this organophosphorus compound, and the first organophosphorus compound which was discovered was the tetraethyl pyrophosphate. Tetraethyl pyrophosphate, and the commercialized organophosphorus compound for the first time which went rampant usage was the parathion. And till now, in the entire world, in India also, more than 50% of what the insecticide we use, it belongs to the organophosphorus compound. So this is a lengthy chapter, since more than 50% insecticide we use this organophosphorus compound. And the basic chemistry, basic structure of this organophosphorus compound, so phosphor in the middle, phosphorus, then R1 and R2 groups, then bonded with oxygen or sulfur group, and then X group, accessory group. So R1 and R2 stands for alkyl, aryl and alkoxy groups, and phosphorus bonding with O, we call it as oxon bonds. Phosphorus binding with the sulfur, we call it as thionate bond, and X, it is a leaving group. See, what is the action of this organophosphorus compound? See, we studied under indirectly acting Cholinomimetics. There you know the mechanism of action of organophosphorus compound. It mainly inhibits the enzyme acetylcholine esterase, right? See, whenever this organophosphorus compound, the structure being this one, whenever it inhibits the acetylcholine esterase, so this X, the leaving group, it will get displaced whenever it binds with the acetylcholine esterase. So that's the reason why this X group is called as leaving group. So that is the chemistry. So organophosphorus compound. What is an organophosphorus compound? What is the difference between organophosphorus compound and OC? Who discovered it first? And what is the basic chemistry? Next thing. See, oxon group, the phosphorus with oxygen bondage, they are called as direct acting organophosphorus compound. So the examples are tetraethyl pyrophosphate, trichlorophon and dichlorovas. So why they are called as direct acting organophosphorus compound? They don't need any further conversion. So directly, for example, TEPP, whenever it enters the body, directly it will go and bind to the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. It doesn't need any bioactivation. So on the other hand, the phosphorus bondage with sulfur, we call it as thionate group. They are called as indirect acting organophosphorus compound. Why? It needs toxicological activation. In other sense, we call it as lethal synthesis. So you know what is meaning of lethal synthesis. An inactive compound gets converted into an active compound, and that active compound will be more toxic than the parent compound. So what will happen here? There will be conversion of malathion to which compound? The malathion to maloxan. Then parathion to paroxan. Like that, phenathion to phenoxan. So when you compare this metabolite with the parent compound, these metabolites will be more active in nature, and they are the one which will bind with the acetylcholine esterase and bring about the toxicity. That's why they are termed as indirect acting organophosphorus compound. So based on the mode of action, the organophosphorus compound are classified into direct acting organophosphorus compound, indirect acting OPCs. So what is the bioactivation procedure? Oxidative desulfuration. You add the oxygen, remove the sulfur. Oxidative desulfuration, convert malathion to maloxan. So two groups, direct acting organophosphorus compound, indirect acting organophosphorus compounds. Then some examples of organophosphorus compound. See, in recent days, so what is the trend in the ICAR exam is they pick one insecticide compound and they will give it in multiple choice. See, for example, so they will pick one random compound. See, if one of us you can easily identify. See, they will pick diazinon. See, diazinon is an example of organophosphorus compound, organochlorine compound, carbamate, like that they will ask. So you should know each and every compound. So by reading you will come to know. See, tetraethyl pyrophosphate, dichlorovas. See, remember, even though it includes chloro in its dichlorovas name, so it belongs to organophosphorus compound. It is not a organochlorine compound, right? Then trichlorophone. Here also, even though it contains the chloro word, so it belongs to organophosphorus compound. Then parathion, then malathion, ecothiophyte, diisopropyl fluorophosphate, diazinon, tabun, sarin, soman. Tabun, sarin, soman, you know they are nerve gases. They are more used as the warfare agent rather than this pesticide. Then monocrotophos, phorate, then phonophos, comophos, chlorpyrifos. So anything that ends with phos, generally they belongs to organophosphorus compound. So assignment number 1 is write some 4 trade names of organophosphorus compound. Okay, so it is the assignment number 1. Then the toxicokinetics. See, coming to the toxicokinetics, this organophosphorus compound, they are lipid soluble agents. So since lipid soluble agent, they will get entry into the body through all the routes. So you name one route, they can get entry because of lipid solubility. Then you know 2 groups of organophosphorus compound, direct acting, indirect acting. See, direct acting, they will directly act on the target. After acting on the target, they will be metabolized by the liver. Whereas indirectly acting organophosphorus compound, they go to the liver, they will get activated, then they go to the target, do its duty, again come to the liver, gets metabolized by the enzyme esterases, or undergo glucuronidation or hydrolysis, then they will be excreted through the urine, feces, and also through the milk. Okay, so they will be eliminated through these routes. So it is the toxicokinetics. Whereas when you compare it with organochlorine compound, their accumulation in tissue or fat is less. So bioaccumulation factor is very less. So they will be readily eliminated in the different routes. Exception in this toxicokinetic is chlorpyrifos. So remember chlorpyrifos, it persists longer because of increased lipid solubility. It will persist in the tissues longer when you compare it with any other organophosphorus compound. That's the reason why this chlorpyrifos very commonly used to kill termites. See, termites stay longer, so the duration of action of such compound should also be longer. So chlorpyrifos very commonly used to get rid of the termites. Then the mechanism of action. So it is very important in organophosphorus compound. So what is the mechanism of action? So you know the organophosphorus compound, it acts by inhibiting the acetylcholinesterase enzyme reversibly only initially. So only initial time it will act reversibly, or the majority, the major action or dominant action of the organophosphorus compound is it causes irreversible inhibition of the acetylcholinesterase enzyme. So what will be the normal function of acetylcholinesterase enzyme? You know the normal function of acetylcholinesterase is to break down the acetylcholine, right? So how the acetylcholine breakdown take place by acetylcholinesterase? See, now acetylcholine, it will bind to both anionic site and esteric site of the acetylcholinesterase enzyme. You know in the acetylcholinesterase enzyme, you get two sites. One is an anionic site, another one is esteric site. This acetylcholine, it will bind both with anionic site and also with the esteric site. Then acetylcholine get converted into choline and acetylated enzyme. So this acetylated enzyme will be binding with the esteric site. After that, this complex, this acetylated enzyme plus esteric complex, it will undergo hydrolysis. So when it undergo hydrolysis, so there will be removal of acetyl CoA, plus there will be regeneration of acetylcholinesterase enzyme, and that acetylcholinesterase enzyme will be available for catabolism of next acetylcholine, right? That is a normal catabolism of acetylcholine, and the entire process take place in a fraction of time. So this is a normal catabolism of acetylcholinesterase enzyme. So whenever there is toxicity of organophosphorus compound, what exactly will happen here? See, in organophosphorus toxicity, I told you in a acetylcholinesterase, you get two sites. One is esteric site, anionic site. So organophosphorus compound, they bind only to the esteric site. So point to remember. So the organophosphorus compound, it binds only to the esteric site. So it binds to esteric site. Why it binds only to the esteric site? It don't have a cationic group. Since it doesn't have a cationic group, it cannot bind to the anionic site, and causes phosphorylation with the serine residue at the esteric site. So this OP compound, it forms a bondage with the serine amino acid that is present at the esteric site, and the process we call it as phosphorylation. Now the complex we call it as phosphorylated enzyme complex. So there is a complex that has been formed. So there are 4 chances for this complex. So there are 4 ways that this phosphorylated enzyme complex can enter. So the first pathway is spontaneous hydrolysis. So spontaneous hydrolysis, very similar to the acetylated enzyme. When acetylcholine binds to the esteric site, that acetylated enzyme will get hydrolyzed and then get converted into acetyl-CoA and regeneration of the enzyme. Similarly, it can enter spontaneous hydrolysis. Then there will be enzyme regeneration, which is very negligible when organophosphorus compound binds. So this will be very negligible. Then the second pathway, see, if you use chemical reactivators, suppose you diagnose organophosphorus toxicity and you diagnose it confirmatively. If you confirmatively diagnose it as organophosphorus compound, then you started using a chemical reactivator. So if you have used such chemical reactivator initially, so during initial period only if you use chemical reactivator, before covalent bonding between OPC compound and the esteritic site, and before the aging process, if you have used chemical reactivator, then there are more chances of enzyme regeneration. That is the second pathway. There is a second chance. Then the third pathway in which this complex can go. See, in the third pathway, this complex, it got covalently bonded. So as time progresses, the organophosphorus compound gets covalently bonded with the esteritic site. So if it forms a covalent bond with esteritic site, so that is the end of the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. It will lead to irreversible inhibition of the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So if you need a fresh acetylcholine esterase enzyme, a new acetylcholine esterase has to be synthesized to catabolize the acetylcholine. So once the time progresses and once there is covalent bonding between the OPC and esteritic site happens, so there will be irreversible inhibition of the enzyme. And next one is, as and when time progresses, there will be a condition called as aging. So what do you mean by this aging? See, when the organophosphorus compound and the esteritic site forms a phosphorylated enzyme complex, at that time, if that complex loses an alkyl group, so if it loses alkyl group from the phosphorylated enzyme complex, that process we call it as aging. So that aging will also lead to the irreversible inhibition of the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So whenever there is irreversible inhibition of the acetylcholine esterase enzyme, what will be the net effect? So for catabolism of acetylcholine, a fresh acetylcholine esterase has to be synthesized. There is nothing doing here. So there will be complete blockage of action of acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So what will happen as a result? So as a result, the acetylcholine will not get metabolized. See, there is no acetylcholine left. All the acetylcholine esterase enzyme are irreversibly inhibited. So what will happen? There will be abnormal accumulation of acetylcholine. So when there is accumulation of acetylcholine, it will not simply sit like lockdown. So it will not sit in the womb. So what it will do? So like this kidigadiಗಳು, what this acetylcholine will do? It will act on the muscarinic receptor. It will act on the nicotinic receptor. It brings about the organophosphorus toxicity. So it's the mechanism of action of organophosphorus compound. It binds only with the esteritic site and become covalently bonded or enter aging process, causes irreversible inhibition of the acetylcholine esterase enzyme, then accumulation of acetylcholine, then that acetylcholine acts on the muscarinic receptor, nicotinic receptor, bring about the toxicity. The only chance here is if at the early stage, if you use a chemical reactivator, the possibility is that you can regenerate the enzyme only initially, that to 24 to 36 hours after exposure of the animal to the OPC compound, you can regenerate the enzyme. After that, once covalent bonding, once aging process starts, you cannot regenerate the enzyme. That is the mechanism of action. Then the clinical signs. I told you clinical signs, it is to do with the accumulation of the acetylcholine. So once the acetylcholine gets accumulated in the body, I told you, so it will not simply sit. So it will act on the muscarinic receptor, it will act on the nicotinic receptor to bring about muscarinic sign, to bring about the nicotinic sign. See, what are the muscarinic sign? See, the initial signs what we see is the muscarinic sign. So what are the muscarinic sign? I told you there is a mnemonic, dumb shells. So what the mnemonic stands for? There will be severe diarrhea, there will be frequent urination, and there will be characteristic myiasis. So there will be decrease in the myiasis, the pupil diameter. So the diameter of pupil will be decreased. And B stands for bronchoconstriction and bradycardia. As a result, there will be dyspnea and open mouth breathing will be there. The bronchoconstriction characteristic feature in OP toxicity. Then yes, salivation, increased salivation in OP toxicity, characteristic feature of OP toxicity. What kind of salivation? Watery and drooling type of salivation. So there will be no frothy, there will be no sticky consistency. Unlike FMDR in other cases, there will be watery, drooling type of saliva. That saliva will be touching the ground. So such type of salivation will be seen in the OPC toxicity. H stands for hypermotility of the GIT, E emesis, L lacrimation, S stands for the sweating. So these are the muscarinic sign. Initially you will see with organophosphorus toxicity. See, followed by muscarinic sign, you get nicotinic sign. So when nicotinic sign you will see, so when the acetylcholine acts on the nicotinic receptors. So you know nicotinic receptor. What nicotinic receptor? NM type of nicotinic receptor. So it will lead to muscle fasciculation, tremor, twitching. So animal will fall on the ground. So there will be tonic-clonic convulsion. So as time progresses, there will be ataxia, depression, coma, and the death. And the death of the animal is mainly due to the bronchoconstriction, respiratory failure, and the bradycardia. See, these characteristic clinical signs you will come across in the field level also, because the organophosphorus toxicity is very common feature in field. So you are bound to get this OP's toxicity. So you suspect for these clinical signs. Okay. Then the another clinical sign is OPIDN, organophosphorus induced delayed neuropathy, that we will discuss in a separate section. In this topic only we will discuss it in a separate section. Then post-mortem finding, see, pulmonary edema is a consistent finding, then congestion, pulmonary congestion, then necrotic patches in the skeletal muscle, hemorrhage in the heart and other organ, and commonly the carcass will be dehydrated and emaciated. And Dr. Girish sir, the pathologist Girish sir, he has found a consistent finding of the petechia in the urinary bladder. So we went to a clinical cases. So he used to tell, so he used to find a petechia in the urinary bladder of the animal suffering from this OP toxicity. So it is a finding made by Dr. Girish sir. Then diagnosis. So how to diagnose this organophosphorus toxicity? So diagnosis, it is by the history, clinical signs, and estimating the acetylcholine esterase enzyme level in the blood and the brain. And the important diagnostic feature in the organophosphorus toxicity is the response to treatment. I told you response to treatment, it is one of the diagnostic feature. So what will be the response to treatment? When you give atropine will be the drug of choice. So when you give atropine, the classical features, increased salivation will be decreased, there will be dry mouth. So myiasis will turn into mydriasis, bradycardia will turn into tachycardia. So reversal of clinical signs when you inject atropine, so that's one of the diagnostic feature. Okay. Then treatment. So what will be the treatment for organophosphorus toxicity? So what is the rationale behind treating the organophosphorus toxicity? It should be aimed at abolishing the muscarinic effect, nicotinic effect, and coupled with regeneration of acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So this will be the rationale. So to abolish muscarinic effect, so you can use the atropine. So to abolish nicotinic effect, so it cannot be done with the atropine. So you have to use other thing, muscle relaxant you can use. And to regenerate the acetylcholine esterase enzyme, so when you can regenerate the acetylcholine esterase enzyme, I told you that time period with which you can regenerate acetylcholine esterase enzyme is within 24 and 36 hours after exposure of the organophosphorus compound. So at that time only you can use this chemical reactivator to regenerate the acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So because of this, so what will be the treatment schedule for organophosphorus compound? So the specific antidote for organophosphorus compound is initial administration of atropine sulfate followed by the acetylcholine esterase enzyme reactivators that do only less than 24 to 36 hours after exposure, after which there will be covalent bondage, there will be aging. So initial usage of atropine sulfate. So there should be a proper dosage of atropine, or else it will lead to atropine toxicity. And as you know, it only blocks muscarinic sign because it's a competitive antagonist of only muscarinic receptor. So proper atropinization. So when you will come to know, see, proper atropinization has occurred. So when it lead to mydriasis, decreased salivation, normal heart rate, if bradycardia will return to normal heart rate, then you can know, so there is an atropinization, proper atropinization. So while giving it to the horses, you should be very careful. It will lead to gut stasis and it will lead to the very important condition in horses, colic. So careful while administering it into the horses. So what will be the dosage of atropine sulfate in the animal? So in cattle, horses, sheep, goat, and in the swine, the dosage is 0.2 to 0.5 milligram per kg body weight. So what will be the normal dosage of atropine sulfate whenever you use it in diarrhea? So it will be 0.02 to 0.05. So that we should note down here. See, this is a normal dosage of atropine sulfate apart from treating toxicity condition. So when you are treating a toxicity condition, what is the dosage of atropine sulfate? It is increased. The dosage has been increased here. So the mode of administering here. So first quarter you have to give it through intravenous route, and the 3/4 of the dose you can give it through IM or subcutaneous route. So after 4 to 6 hours you follow the same dosage but through intramuscular and subcutaneous route. So repeat the dosage till clinical sign subside. Then for dog and cats, the dosage will be further increased 0.2 to 2 milligram per kg body weight, and the dosage schedule will be the similar one. The quarter of the dosage through IV infusion, 3/4 will be through IM or subcutaneous route. That is about atropine sulfate. Then cholinesterase reactivator, also called as the OXIMEs. See, cholinesterase reactivators or OXIME, it should be used before 24 to 36 hours after organophosphorus exposure. So what are the very commonly used cholinesterase reactivator? 2-POM stands for 2-pyridine aldoxime, or you can call it as pralidoxime also. Pralidoxime. Then DAM, diacetyl monoxime. Then MENA stands for monoisonitrosoacetone. So easy to remember. Don't remember this drug. The important two drugs are 2-POM and the DAM. Since MENA is easy to remember, don't remember this MENA. So try to remember 2-POM and the DAM. So that 2-POM is very important. So this cholinesterase reactivator, so how it will act, what is its mode of action? See, this cholinesterase reactivator, it will bind with the anionic site. So if you remember, the anionic site is empty. When organophosphorus compound is acting, it binds to the esteretic site, leaving anionic site vacant. So this reactivator, it will bind with the anionic site, which is free, and it forms a strong bond with the phosphorus group. Which phosphorus group? Which has made a complex, phosphorylated enzyme complex. So this reactivator, it will get affinity towards the phosphorus group in the phosphorylated enzyme complex. Okay. So and it will form a complex called as pyridoxine phosphate. So when the pralidoxime combines with the phosphorus group in the complex, so pralidoxime, it is having more affinity for phosphorus group in the phosphorylated enzyme complex and form pyridoxine phosphate, so leaving acetylcholinesterase enzyme free. So that's what this reactivator will do. So what is the dosage of this 2-POM? So the dosage will be, in cattle and sheep, it will be 25 to 50 milligram per kg body weight, given through slow intravenous route, or else you can give it through infusion route also. So you can dilute it with normal saline, you can give it through intravenous route. So after that, the second dosage, after 8 to 12 hours, you can give it through intramuscular route. What will be the dosage? Same dosage. See, for dogs and cat, it will be 20 milligram per kg body weight, similar pattern as that of the large animal. So 2-POM, it will also be available in the medical stores. So whenever you diagnose it as organophosphorus toxicity, so better to use atropine sulfate followed by the 2-POM. Then DAM, diacetyl monoxime. So in cattle and sheep, the dosage is 30 milligram per kg body weight, slow intravenous route. Then after 12 hours, you decrease it to half the dosage, then give it through the intramuscular route. Generally, this diacetyl monoxime is more preferred over 2-POM. So even though DAM is more preferred, because of the common availability of 2-POM, we generally go for this 2-POM only. Why DAM is more preferred? Because it is inexpensive, increased penetration to the blood-brain barrier, then rate of reactivation of acetylcholinesterase enzyme is faster than when you compare it with the 2-POM, and DAM is having considerably longer half-life. So what will be the treatment schedule for organophosphorus compound? Initial usage of atropine sulfate followed by the enzyme reactivators. What is the mode of action of atropine sulfate? It competitively antagonizes the muscarinic receptor. What is the mode of action of reactivator? It binds with the anionic site. It attracts towards the phosphorus present in the phosphorylated enzyme complex, form the pyridoxine phosphate, leaving acetylcholinesterase enzyme free. When it leaves the acetylcholinesterase enzyme free, it will catabolize the culprit in the organophosphorus toxicity, which is the culprit acetylcholine. Okay, so that will be the treatment schedule for organophosphorus toxicity. So the next one is, the next left section is the organophosphorus induced delayed neuropathy. I told you. So this is also one of the clinical sign. Organophosphorus induced delayed neuropathy are also called as dying back axonopathy. Organophosphorus induced delayed neuropathy are also called as dying back axonopathy. See, in delayed condition, so whenever the organophosphorus exposure is there for animal, so if you leave it like that for 2 weeks to 4 weeks and animal has not died, so whenever there is delayed condition, some organophosphorus compound and not all, it's going to inhibit an other section of enzyme apart from acetylcholinesterase. We call it as neurotoxic esterase or neuropathy target esterase, abbreviated as NTE. You can term it as neurotoxic esterase or neuropathy target esterase. And this enzyme will be present in peripheral nerves, lymphocyte, brain and in the placenta. So this inhibition of neurotoxic esterase, it will lead to demyelination, consequently the paralysis. So first it starts at the peripheral nerve, then it will move into the central cerebrospinal axis. So because of that way of movement from periphery to the center, that condition is called as dying back axonopathy. And why delayed neuropathy? Since it occurs late. Then what are those some organophosphorus compound which causes this condition? The examples are monocrotophos, TOCP, triarthocresyl phosphate, triarthocresyl phosphate, phenyltrethione, diisopropyl fluorophosphate, trichlorophon are some of the organophosphorus compound which causes delayed neurotoxicity. And what are the susceptible species for organophosphorus induced delayed neuropathy? The humans are susceptible, cats are highly susceptible, chicken are highly susceptible, cat and chicken are highly susceptible, then cattle and dog. So if it's been asked in the exam, the species which are highly susceptible for OPIDN, first pick chicken. Then the next susceptibility is the cats. So the resistant species for OPIDN, the mice, rats, rabbit and guinea pig, all the laboratory animal, almost all the laboratory animal are resistant to delayed neurotoxicity. Very difficult to reproduce the delayed neurotoxicity in a laboratory animal. So here, since the mechanism of action of this organophosphorus compound, it is by the inhibition of neurotoxic esterase, can we use reactivator? You cannot use a reactivator. It is not an acetylcholinesterase enzyme. It is acting on neurotoxic esterase. So reactivator won't work here. So what are the clinical signs in delayed neuropathy? There will be sensory disturbance, there will be ataxia, weakness, flaccid paralysis will be there. Animal, it cannot stand upright. If it is recumbent, it cannot stand up, unable to eat and drink. These are some of the clinical signs. And there is a characteristic walking posture of the animals or human beings. That posture we call it as tap click walking or jake leg walking. So what is this tap click walking or jake leg walking? See, the heel goes first. See, if it is the leg, the heel will go first, then the front portion. So heel will go first, then the front portion. So whenever it will go like this, the animal or human being, so there is a sound tap click. So that's why the type of walking tap click walking or jake leg walking. So there's a second assignment question. So what do you mean by tap click walking? What do you mean by jake leg walking? Then post-mortem findings in the delayed neurotoxicity. So post-mortem findings, there will be central periphery distal axonopathy, large diameter nerve fibers are affected more when you compare it with small fibers. Then some note about this delayed neurotoxicity. So this delayed neurotoxicity, it occurs 2 to 3 weeks after exposure to the organophosphorus compound. See, whenever there is organophosphorus toxicity, what will be the timeline movement of this organophosphorus toxicity? Initially we'll see muscarinic sign followed by nicotinic sign, and there is another intermediate sign, we call it as intermediate syndrome. If it is there, there will be intermediate syndrome. Then in delayed cases, there will be organophosphorus induced delayed neurotoxicity. So this is a sequence of clinical sign what you see in the organophosphorus toxicity if animal survives this initial muscarinic nicotinic period. And the second important thing about delayed neurotoxicity, there is a famous incident happened at the USA. Now it has replaced with the corona. No one will remember other famous incidents. So the paralysis named was ginger jack paralysis, also called as Jamaican ginger paralysis. So that will be the third assignment question that I am not going to discuss here. So you have to write what is this ginger jack paralysis and Jamaican ginger paralysis. That will be the third question. Then this delayed neurotoxicity, it affects both sensory and motor nerve. And which is the most sensitive species for OPIDN? It is the Ants. So Ants are most susceptible for OPIDN toxicity and for screening also. So if you want to screen this delayed neurotoxicity, so this is the preferred species. Ants are the preferred species. Why Ants are preferred species? Remember, lab animals, most of the lab animals are resistant to this delayed neurotoxicity condition. So in the last section is intermediate syndrome. So since it comes here, intermediate syndrome, what do you mean by intermediate syndrome? It was first reported in the Sri Lanka physician, the Sri Lanka nurses, they have identified this syndrome, intermediate syndrome. So this syndrome starts just after the cholinergic sign. So just after the muscarinic and the nicotinic sign, you see this intermediate syndrome. So marked weakness of the respiratory neck and forelimb muscle. So it will happen in the intermediate syndrome. So why this will happen? The mechanism of action is, see, first acetylcholine will act on the muscarinic receptor. Then after muscarinic receptor, it will act on the nicotinic receptor, right? So if there is continuous exposure of nicotinic receptor to the acetylcholine being the agonist, if it is been continuously exposed to the nicotinic receptor, what will happen? When an agonist is continuously exposed to the receptor, it will lead to desensitization. So there will be receptor desensitization, because of which there will be weakness of this muscle. So it is the action of this intermediate syndrome, right? So then some note about this organophosphorus compound, which is the most studied organophosphorus compound, diisopropyl fluorophosphate. In organophosphorus compound, there will be no hyperthermia and there will be no abnormal behavior. So what we studied in the organophosphorus compound, we studied who discovered it, we studied about its structure, we studied about some of the examples of organophosphorus compound, we studied about the classification of organophosphorus compound based on the mode of action into direct and indirect. Then we studied about the toxicokinetics, then studied about the mechanism of action. The mechanism of action, it leads to irreversible inhibition of the acetylcholinesterase enzyme by covalent bonding and by the aging. And we discussed about clinical signs. What are the clinical signs? Initially you will see muscarinic sign, then nicotinic sign, muscarinic sign, dumb shells, nicotinic sign, muscle fasciculation, followed by intermediate syndrome, followed by delayed neurotoxicity, right? Then the postmortem finding, then the diagnosis, then the treatment, the specific treatment, initial atropine, the giving initial atropine sulfate, followed by the enzyme reactivators. Then the last is assignment question for this topic. So as we already discussed, write 4 trade names of organophosphorus insecticide. Then second one, what is tap click walking or jack click walking? What is the famous incident of Jamaican ginger paralysis? The fourth one, type of enzyme inhibited by organophosphorus compound is dash, and mode of inhibition is reversible or irreversible. Then only usage of atropine is sufficient to treating organophosphorus toxicity, true or false? All organophosphorus compound causes delayed neurotoxicity, true or false? Then dash enzyme inhibition causes delayed neurotoxicity, and dash is an example for acetylcholinesterase enzyme reactivator. Okay, thank you.